This program is brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?
Good evening and a very warm welcome to First Issues. Dr. Isaac Elias, integrative medical pioneer, author and researcher, says that we are all products of our environment and vice versa, since the environments that we create both reflect and affect our mental, emotional and physical well-being. As an integrator of Western and alternative medicines, Dr. Elias says messy or disorderly workspaces and homes mean that our physical and emotional and mental health can also get muddled, and we become less energetic and less efficient. Spaces such as this cluttered storeroom that also functions as a storeroom and a laundry room can be found in many houses across Botswana and don't necessarily inspire much creativity or productivity. Laura Stack, president of time management consulting firm The Productivity Pro, adds that digital clutter can be just as stressful and energy-sapping as physical clutter. But beyond your productivity and efficiency, your personal brand can also be negatively impacted by a cluttered workspace or home. Clients and co-workers often associate a messy office with your organization skills and assume that their project or proposal will get lost in the dumping ground that is your desk. Some people are naturally gifted at keeping the clutter at bay, and several have turned their gift into a livelihood. Professional organizing is an industry that developed in 1984 in Los Angeles, California. One the U.S. National Association of Productivity and Organizing says is growing and has led to niche organizers specializing in areas such as photos or technology. One young Botswana is looking to be a pioneer of the profession locally with her newly formed company, Lucid Spaces. She, like many before her, has found that she can get paid to do something she is naturally good at, and having now educated herself, sees the potential for consulting, training, providing customized storage solutions and more that others in the developed world are already capitalizing on. She tells us exactly what it is she can do for those struggling to manage their clutter, as well as gives us some valuable tips on how to improve our own efficiencies. How did Lucid Spaces come about?
Lucid Spaces is something that started out as a hobby. I remember back in the day when we were cleaning with my sisters at my mom's house, it would be messy and she would ask us to pack things up and make sure it looks good. So when we started doing all of this weekend cleaning, I then realized, listen, I'm really good at making spaces work. So if it's a bit messy, I'll then think about how to make it presentable and just make it look nice. So years went by and I realized this is something I can turn into a profession. I did a bit of research about it and actually saw that it's a common thing, maybe not in our country, but very common. And it's something that you can turn into a business. So that's how I ended up with Lucid Spaces.
Now that you've maybe educated yourself, as you said, on the profession of organizing, what do you think you can offer? What do you offer your clients that they can't do for themselves?
Because this is such a not Botswana thing or African thing, people don't necessarily do professional organizing here. You get someone to help you pack your stuff. It's very easy to get your maid to help you with it, or anybody who helps you around the house with stuff like that, or even your office space. So with our clients, we've designed a model such that not only do we teach people that it's important to be in a workspace that is organized, but it also has to look nice, So the one thing that we offer our clients is to say, or our catch phrase is to say, we want to make sure that people have organized spaces, but they don't have to do it themselves. If you don't have time, we can make sure that we do this for you. So that is one of the ways in which we help our clients make sure that they cut down on time that they don't have and give them the benefit of using us to help them get organized.
You've said yourself that people aren't too familiar with this service. So in which ways have you devised, what ways have you devised to educate your market? What tools have you found to be useful in teaching people what professional organizing is?
I think with our first, the way in which we landed one of our first jobs was to explain it in detail through social media. So in our flyer, you use words that people can understand what exactly it is you're offering. Because when you say professional organizing, you know, a lot of thoughts come to mind. Professional organizing, what does that mean? What are you organizing? Somebody once asked me if I do event organizing, and I had to explain, no. This is basically to help you, I use words like declutter, office cleaning or office space, home and office cleaning, you know, things to help them explain that you are getting rid of stuff that you don't necessarily need, or you are in a mess and you don't know where to start. We've used a lot of social media. Social media is one of our biggest tools that we use to help people and educate them in the way in which we want them to understand what this really means.
So clearly you help out people who struggle with clutter.
Yes.
Once you have organized somebody's space, made it, decluttered it and made it more efficient, what kind of advice do you give them for them to keep it that way? Maybe tips that can be useful for our viewers at home.
The first step is to obviously get to them and find out how their lives are like. If you are a stay-at-home mom, if you are a professional person, if you are a student, maybe who's living on a campus and you don't have time to fix your things up, or you're a business person and you're constantly busy. The main thing is to find out how your habits are, you know, how your time schedules are. Do you have time on the weekends such that you can make sure that you're constantly checking your space and making it work for you? Or you have an office and you have staff members that you want to equip with these tools to make sure that the office space and their living environments are organized. One of the best ways we do this is we assess every client differently. Every single person is different to the other. So it would have to be an assessment done on the person's lifestyle, so that we can, you know, equip them and help them say, okay, in order for you to keep it like this, or if you have kids and you've organized a space and they're messy kids, you know, we want to help them get involved even during the organizing, that, you know, we can show them, no, if you pick something up, just put it back where you found it, or use these boxes, these labeled boxes, you know, just different things to help that person. Because clutter is created normally when you take something out and you don't put it back where it belongs. So we normally help people and involve them during the time of the organizing.
What are some of the trade secrets, some tips we can apply to our own efforts to organize our lives?
Whether it's your home office, your home space, or your work space, there's a lot of things you can use or implement to help you get more organized. Some people do color coding. It's one of the ways in which people can organize, whether it's a workshop, you know, just so that employees know where everything is at. It can also work for your home. We also have different storage solutions. You know, people have organizing boxes, files. There's just endless solutions to your organizing. Sometimes you can use these to make it even look pretty, not just organized, but also lovable. You know, it's a nice space. It looks beautiful at the end of the day. So those are just some of the things you can use to make it more organized.
Thank you for staying with us, as at this point in our program, we sit down with the current head of business Botswana, Mr. Mankibine. As the head of a collective that has guided, collaborated and lobbied government on behalf of the private sector over the past 47 years, he is here to discuss the relationship between government and the business sector. This as the country readies itself for the key consultative meeting, that is the National Business Conference, taking place in less than 2 weeks' time. This is a meeting where representatives from the highest level of government and the business community leave their regular bases of operation to fully engage in days of intense discussion and planning that is said to have yielded significant accomplishments in the past. Despite the cordial relationship between government and Botswana's private sector, many are of the view that government is not keeping within its policy-making role to ensure that there is a conducive business environment for the private sector to thrive, but is instead an active participant in the business sector itself, with dominant market players such as the Botswana Meat Commission, Air Botswana, and several others. We ask Business Botswana President Mr. Kibine whether this cordial relationship is indeed yielding the desired results.
Privatization is one area that we are continuously advocating for that to happen. We will always differ with government or with an entity that is a sole owner of an entity. In the instance, for example, of Air Botswana being owned by government, we continue to put, I wouldn't like to call it pressure, our viewpoint on how an entity like Air Botswana would make sense if it is privatized. We differ in approach, if I could use that. BMC, same story, we differ in approach. I think government at some level do appreciate and understand that privatizing such kind of entities would, one, lessen the burden of them having to put money year in and year out in a literally pitiless hole. Money just goes in, out, we don't know where it goes. And we continue to advocate for the privatization of such kind of entities. We differ with government also in certain other areas where we honestly, genuinely believe government is playing in an area that should not be playing in, which is the area of doing business. But government being political in a lot of ways, worry about its constituencies, they'll tell you that. They worry about if business was given certain mandates to do certain things, would it be carried out? I think with time, I'm pretty optimistic that with time, government will come to appreciate that business, like government, has the concern of this country progressing. We would like to see this country moving forward. And the only way we can have this country moving forward is having certain policies and certain institutions and certain functions that government is doing be moved across. Let me give you an example. One of the things that we are very excited about as private sector is that President Masisi has clearly indicated that private sector must be involved. He has spoken about triple Ps, build, transfer and operate, BTOs, etc. We would like to see that happening. They are currently, in our view, massive projects that if were put to triple P would be far in terms of development. One of them, for example, is the Walvis Bay into Botswana rail line. We honestly think government should not be playing in that. Government has got a lot of other issues to do, social, health, education, that they can invest money in and leave what is purely, in our view, private sector, business to private sector.
Yes, the NBC has yielded positive results such as the HLCC and others that you have mentioned. But on the other hand, you're saying there are other areas that Business Botswana and the business community continue to advocate for government to change its views on. How would you describe the relationship then between government and the business sector?
I think it's a very cordial relationship. I think it's a relationship that needs to be nurtured. It's a continuous process. We will not wake up one morning and see government saying, okay guys, take it away, go and do it. It won't happen like that because it differs from one administration to the other. In other administrations, government administrations, we will probably achieve more than in other administration. We are currently sitting very positively looking at the inauguration speech that Re Masisi, the current president, did, and we are very hopeful that in reasonable space we will start seeing entities such as triple Ps taking hold. We look at, for example, if you look at the major tourist destinations being Kasane and being Shakawe, at this current stage they're inaccessible. There's no road, literally. A mine like Soda Ash, which is up north, we had a meeting with them not long back. One of the biggest things they're complaining is there is no road to access that mine. Currently we are working on bridges, billion Pula bridges, both in Shakawe and in the Kazungula. We are looking at traffic, heavy traffic, moving from via Zimbabwe to coming via Kazungula Bridge to the DRC, to Zambia. We are looking at that now coming through Botswana. And where we are looking currently is hopefully to Martin's Drift into South Africa. There's no border post at Martin's Drift that can handle that kind of traffic. There's a lot of discord in the planning process, but we continue engaging with government to say, how can we help? Because we need, for example, in our view, a dual road from Martin's Drift all the way to Shakawe, past Francistown, past Nata, not Shakawe, to Kasane, to Kazungula Bridge. Because once traffic start using that road, one, the local small vehicles are going to suffer because that road is going to be damaged on a very regular basis by the heavy traffic on it. We see a lot of accidents happening if the road remains as is. In other words, it being a single lane road. So our view is if it could be turned into dual. And it's a lot of money in the midst. It's a lot of billions of Pula. And we appreciate the fact that government has got a lot of other responsibilities that in our view, if they just focus on that, gave that to the private sector, put whatever it is that will safeguard what they would like to see and make sure that it is Botswana that benefits at the end of the day, well with government.
Welcome back to First Issues. Walking those few extra steps a day can greatly reduce the cost of heart disease, both at the individual and at the wider national economic level. Increasing your levels of physical activity can not only prevent but treat existing cardiovascular conditions. Something as simple and as freely available to all of us, such as walking, can have far-reaching implications for your mortality, your productivity, and overall quality of life. But for those who already have poor cardiovascular health, extra precautions need to be taken. With the help of professionals the likes of Agatha Atolang, a certified personal trainer. She joins us now to advise.
It's very important for us to appreciate that these are what we call special population people. So you cannot train them like people who are relatively healthy. So when we talk about cardiovascular diseases, we're talking about diseases that affect the heart and they affect the blood vessels, you know. So when we exercise, the heart becomes stronger and so do the arteries, and that results in better health for the patient. So it's vital, it's important for them to exercise.
What precautions must they take? We're talking about people probably with plaque buildup in their blood vessels and arteries. And yes, what precautions must they take, and what kind of exercises should they do?
Your doctor needs to get involved. Your cardiologist has to get involved. It's better to get a trainer who's certified, who works hand in hand with the doctor, because you're taking this person through a journey, and it's a gradual journey, you know. So those are some of the precautions that you need to take if you do have cardiovascular diseases. So it's the whole thing with the doctor, it's the whole thing with just the whole team coming together and working together for the benefit of the patient. And specifically, in the beginning, you want to start with a lot of aerobic exercise. You know, we want to do the treadmill, we want to walk, we don't want to run too much, but we really need to be careful and take it step by step.
We know that typically when you go to a personal trainer, you don't just get advice with regards to exercise and physical activity, but there's also advice regarding diet. What type of dietary advice do you give to cardiovascular patients?
With your food, you know, it's always better to get all the different macronutrients in. We're talking lean protein, we're talking healthy fats, you know, we're talking about healthy carbohydrates, unprocessed carbohydrates, you know, and it's very important to also, for your trainer to work hand in hand with a dietitian. You know, our scope of learning is very different, and this is what I keep talking about the whole team coming in together, you know, so that we help the patient and the patient gets well in a certain amount of time. So when we talk about food, like I said, stay away from the processed carbohydrates, stay away from the fatty food, stay away from the junk food. We all know this.
What are the risks of going it on your own?
Safety is very important. One of the things that a patient who has cardiovascular disease should be doing is investing in a heart rate monitor, something similar to this. So basically what you do is after your workout, there's a little cord, put it in there and then put it into your laptop, and then you can actually monitor your results. These are the same results that you're going to take to the cardiologist and track progress, you know. Don't overexert yourself. You're looking at working between 50 and 85% of your maximum heart rate. The only way to measure that is through a heart rate monitor. Don't go above that. If you feel like you're not feeling too good, just stop.
This program was brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?